8 kilograms of cocaine. Inside the governor's office in Massachusetts. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not clickbait. This actually happened, and what lay behind it was worse than anyone could have feared. The headline screams it. FBI and DEA in shocking governor's office cartel bust. 1.2 tons of drugs, 129 guns seized. But headlines can't contain reality, because this wasn't a cartel warehouse in some back alley. This was the office where citizens go for help. This was the place where public trust was managed, and someone had turned that trust into a supply line. The discovery of those first 8 kilograms was the epicenter of an earthquake, but the shock waves that followed, they would crack the foundation of the entire system. If you're still watching, you understand this is bigger than drugs. This is about infiltration, about betrayal from within. Comment SHIELD if you want to know how deep this goes. 3 months earlier, before the headlines, before the raids, when it was still quiet. Detective Elena Ruiz of the Commonwealth Interstate Narcotics Reduction Enforcement Team stares at 2 simple packages on a cart. They look like office supplies, but Ruiz has learned that betrayal doesn't hide in darkness. It hides in the ordinary, in the everyday, in the things nobody looks at twice. The room smells like old coffee and copy paper. No soundtrack, no dramatic music, just the ticking of a clock and the soft hum of fluorescent lights. This is the arena where it began, not spectacular, but deadly quiet. Special Agent Miguel Otero of Homeland Security Investigations slides a photo across the table. 3 nearly identical packages, same anonymous sender, same routing. "Look at the addresses," he says. His voice is flat, but his eyes aren't. Government buildings, libraries, regional offices, places where nobody questions the mail. Ruiz clicks her pen, a habit when she's thinking. They're using our own systems as camouflage. "Exactly," says Otero. "This isn't an outside threat. This is coming from inside." The words hang in the air like smoke hangs after a gunshot. Ruiz had picked up the pattern 3 months earlier. A leak in the mail stream. So simple, so elegant, so toxic. It works like an assassin. Packages are assembled near the border, flashed through a network of reshippers, then blended into normal courier routes for their final leg. Each package is small, shoebox-sized. The operation worships speed, not volume. 8 kilograms this week, 8 the next. A drip that becomes a river if nobody checks the drain. She didn't stumble across it by accident. A housekeeping manager at a university hotel reported a package leaking a sweetness that wasn't sweet. A quick test lit up in a color Ruiz knows all too well. The trail led to a ghost shipper with a preference for government addresses, libraries, permitting offices, regional offices, places where labels rarely match the hands that open the box. Otero came in when the pattern refused to break. He mapped deliveries by weekday and weather, finding a rhythm that hugged storm fronts and busy lobbies, the noisy hours when nobody has time for a second look. He also found a tell. Wherever the drop landed, a gray hatchback appeared within the hour. 3rd row, backed in, gone within 60 seconds. "They know our protocols better than we do," says Ruiz, and her voice cracks slightly. Not from fear, from anger that's been held inside too long. "Because they helped write them," Otero answers. On the whiteboard, Ruiz writes 2 words, controlled delivery. A court-approved tactic where law enforcement delivers a suspect package to watch who takes it and where it goes. The plan is simple on paper, but chaotic in practice. Follow the drop, keep the chain of custody clean, and seize the box before the network can vanish. 2 other chairs complete the team. Assistant U.S. Attorney Priya Nayar, who speaks in tight legal sentences sharp as razors, and Officer Jonah Rios, an undercover agent with chameleon-like patience who can switch from HVAC technician to IT contractor with just a lanyard and a frown. The plan they sketch out is a combination of caution and nerve. Fake the delivery, observe the handoff, stop the movers at a legally clean moment, and trade up the ladder until the names stop hiding behind aliases. No heroics, no hallway shootouts, no viral nonsense. Just pull a thread until the sweater gives. Unless the sweater was knitted by people who know how to pull it back.
Nayar leans back. We get one chance. If they realize we're watching, the entire network relocates within 24 hours.
Then we make sure they don't realize, says Ruiz. The cart squeaks. The clock blinks 8:45. Ruiz tightens her ponytail. Time to see who signs. The building doesn't look like a crime scene. It looks like democracy's waiting room. Linoleum floors, humming fluorescent lights, posters about food distribution and heating assistance. The governor's Western Massachusetts outreach office has 2 rooms here, one for scheduling town halls, one for helping citizens with paperwork. That's why the address works for smugglers. Nobody suspects the mail cart that feeds 100 small needs a day. The courier is all tattoos and kindness. 3 for outreach, he says, pushing the cart into the lobby. The labels are perfect. The right seal, the right font, a return address belonging to a printer that closed last spring. Rios appears in a navy blue polo with a laminated badge. Facilities, temp. Ruiz signs as E. Rivera on this week's temporary staff roster, thanks to a nudge in HR system that Rios helped debug. In a side room, the camera points at the door, not the table. Standard protocol. Otero opens the first box. Binders, real ones. The second, binders, a glossy brochure, and beneath them, mylar-wrapped bricks sealed like printer toner. A field test changes color in seconds. Otero's jaw tightens. He looks at Ruiz. She nods. The third box? Just binders. You don't need every box dirty. You just need every movement criminal. Live, whispers Ruiz. Static crackles as plainclothes units answer from the corners around the block. She slides the bricks under a layer of paper again. Controlled delivery never adds, never subtracts. Otero reseals the boxes with pre-scored tape. He wheels them out with the bored dignity of a man who has delivered 1,000,000 things. The receptionist initials a form, stamps a time, and slides the cart behind her counter like she's parking toner and tissues. 9 minutes crawl by. The gray hatchback doesn't show. Instead, a white cargo van double parks across the street. Hazard lights blink like a metronome. Rios, disguised as maintenance, strolls past and clocks 2 silhouettes behind the windshield. The driver is on a phone. The passenger wears a baseball cap low and a mask high. Then the front doors whoosh open and a woman glides through security on a wave of small talk and familiarity. The guard says her name with the careful politeness reserved for people who appear in photos with elected officials. Director Lila Vance? She smiles, flashes a badge. I'm picking up outreach materials for the Worcester event. She's on one of the lists, the kind that opens doors. Vance signs a checkout slip, thanks the receptionist by name, then steps into the elevator with 2 boxes on a cart. Ruiz counts to 5. Takes the stairs. Her heart pounds, but her breathing stays calm, trained, controlled. She's practiced this 1,000 times, but reality weighs heavier than any training. The handoff. Empty hands, full guilt. Garage level. The elevator opens. Vance's hands are empty. Ruiz positions herself behind a concrete pillar. Her hand rests on her service weapon, but she doesn't draw it. Not yet. The van's passenger carries both boxes to the bumper while Vance checks her phone, eyes never touching the contraband. Never touching. She's too smart, too trained. The driver loads the cargo. The van rolls. Ruiz's jaw sets. Vance is a pivot, she whispers into her mic. She never touches the contraband, only the calendars and the door lists. She's the key. But she's covered her tracks. The van has the drugs. The hunt is on. Follow at distance, says Nayar through the connection. Let them feel safe. Copy, answers Ruiz. The convoy forms. 2 unmarked sedans, a municipal truck with a magnetic sign, and an old Toyota that looks like somebody's grandpa owns it. The white van turns right, then left, then drifts into traffic where delivery trucks pulse like blood through arteries. Stopping a van is choreography with paperwork. Consent will be denied. That's fine. The search warrant sits in Otero's inside pocket, signed an hour ago by a judge who likes precise affidavits and hates surprises. A mile from the office, the passenger window drops halfway and something the size of a paperback arcs into a municipal trash barrel. Discard, says Rios. North side, 3rd barrel. A bike cop who is not a bike cop peels off to recover it, pedaling like cardio matters. Decision point, says Nayar over the encrypted channel. We have probable cause from the controlled delivery, observed transfer, and discard consistent with counter-surveillance. Your call, Ruiz. Ahead, brake lights paint the lane red. The traffic light blinks yellow. Ruiz closes her eyes for half a second. Thinks about the families burying children from overdoses. Thinks about the badge she wears. Thinks about why she does this work. Now, says Ruiz. Blue lights blossom. The van noses to the curb. Rios approaches. Easy shoulders, easy hands. The driver breathes like oxygen got expensive. The passenger stares forward into the middle distance, where regret will eventually arrive. Afternoon, says Rios. You know why I stopped you? No answer worth hearing. Otero steps to the back with another officer. The warrant hums in his palm like a live wire. The cargo doors swing open. Binders on top. Beneath, Mylar twins of the office bricks. Identical, unambiguous, damning. The driver's shoulders sag, not because of guilt, but because the script ended and nobody told him the next line. The paperback from the trash barrel isn't a book. It's a battery bank with a false back and a micro SD tucked under a lip of plastic. When the techs crack it, index files blossom, encrypted ledgers, drop points, shipper aliases, payment splits, notes in Spanglish and code. Not tons, not an arsenal, a map of the network. Otero's fingers tremble slightly as he scrolls. Names, dates, amounts. This is bigger than we thought, he says. His voice is soft, almost reverent at the scale of the betrayal. Then the passenger does the stupid thing brave men do. He runs, 2 steps, shin to a parked car door, pavement. Ruiz kneels, cuffs him, and breathes steady. We're past running. And Vance? She never stopped. She slipped through a cafe, out a side gate, across a courtyard. The old Toyota follows her like a star follows a planet. She moves like someone who has practiced being forgettable. Nayar, says Ruiz. The van is cold. We're rolling to secondary. Copy, answers Nayar. Bring me the hands that wrote those ledgers. The courtyard smells like espresso and rain. Vance chooses a table that gives her eyes on 3 exits. She doesn't touch the chair back. She moves in a way that leaves no fingerprints, literal or otherwise. Her friend arrives, charcoal suit, posture like he teaches posture. He slides a red folder across the table. Vance doesn't touch that either. Rios drifts in from the alley. Ruiz enters through the cafe. Otero sits 2 blocks away with the battery bank disassembled like a pocket watch. On his screen, an index reading L. Vance, Drop Site 4, GovCom. Not a confession, a breadcrumb, a calendar key that turns rooms into routes. They make the move, smooth, polite, the kind of federal courtesy that ends with handcuffs and you're not under arrest at this time, but... Except the man in the charcoal suit smiles and produces a badge. FBI, real FBI, not the YouTube thumbnail kind. Supervisory Special Agent Donovan Price. "You're early," he says. "We've been running the other end of your mail stream. Same ghost shipper, different tree. We hoped you'd follow the van to storage. Instead, you popped the cork on our bigger bottle." Ruiz hates surprises. Nayar hates them more. But the third rule of joint ops is share or sink. They exchange 30 seconds of context. Price nods at Vance. She's a pivot, touches calendars and door lists, never contraband. Spooker and Half Our Orchard drops its fruit and runs. "What's in the folder?" asks Ruiz. "Internal attendee lists," says Price, jaw tight, "and the name you need to unlock the ledger." The name lands like a gavel. Suddenly, the map is smaller and closer and a lot less theoretical. It's not a kingpin, it's worse. It's a procurement contractor with access to shipping accounts, badge printers, and vendor calendars. The unglamorous arteries of government life. A fixer who could make a box look like toner and a stranger look like staff. Price's team reveals their chessboard. 14 storage and handoff sites scattered from Lowell to Springfield. Quiet fronts, an auto shop with 2 lifts, a produce distributor with extra tarps, a warehouse bay leased under a shell company. Not cartel bunkers, American ordinary. Simultaneous entries, says Nayar. 14 targets, 14 minutes. Plus internal arrests, adds Ruiz, the hands inside. Price looks at Vance, then at the sky thickening toward dawn. "We split the tree," he says. "Your side takes the west corridor and the contractor's office. We take the east and the counting rooms. We all want the ledgers alive." Ruiz nods. She feels the weight of what's coming, not the tactical side. She's trained for that 1,000 times, but the emotional side. The moment when badges are removed from people who once swore an oath. The moment when trust definitively breaks. "Let's clean the shield," she says. At 3:50 a.m., a command post outside Worcester glows with red pins. At 4:03 a.m., a message lands on a secure screen. "Action, all units." Lowell, an armored truck, stops outside a 2-bay garage. The steel door bucks on its hinges. Inside, no ambush, just a counting table, 2 pistols, vacuum-sealed bricks wrapped and labeled with codes matching the ledger's symbols. Springfield, a warehouse disguised as an agricultural distributor. Under tarps, more packages. Weights that will be numbers by noon, not rumors. Worcester, a surveillance camera blinks awake. Suspects sprint for a back alley, but freeze at the calm thunder of the loudspeaker. "Police, do not move!" Short bursts, controlled commands. No chest beating, no hero music. 9 minutes later, wrists shine with cuffs in the rising sun. In total, 47 arrests are made. 1.2 tons of drugs seized at multiple locations. 129 guns, including illegally modified rifles and foreign imports. Dozens of phones and encrypted ledgers filled with initials and payment logs. News helicopters circle overhead. Residents watch from their windows. And across the state, one truth is undeniable. This wasn't a small operation. This was an empire operating next to homes, schools, businesses. And now, for the first time, it was bleeding. "Next phase," says Nayar, "inside the walls that made this easy." The second wave isn't loud, it's exact. At dawn, unmarked minivans roll to police precincts, municipal offices, procurement desks. Warrants, not war. A lieutenant with 23 years of service stares in disbelief as his badge and sidearm slide into an evidence bag. His hands tremble, not from fear, from the sudden realization that his entire life has changed. A purchasing officer swallows hard when a filing cabinet yields outreach funds that smell like money laundering. A contractor in a tidy home office stares at a badge printer nobody ever asked about. No hero speeches, just a logistics map unraveling in quiet rooms. A detective, once praised for reducing neighborhood drug crime, lowers his head as his own handcuffs click shut. 17 police officers, 2 municipal administrators, 1 state procurement advisor, all taken into custody before noon. There were no shouts, no excuses, just silence heavy enough to bend the room. Some officers looked away, some looked at the ground, some watched with pain in their eyes because they had suspected something was wrong, but had never believed the betrayal ran this deep. Outside, citizens gathered in small crowds. Some were angry, some were heartbroken. Many simply stood in still disbelief because it wasn't strangers who had poisoned their neighborhoods. It was men and women they trusted to protect them. An elderly man holds a folded American flag, the same flag he once donated to the precinct after his son's funeral. He watches silently as officers are escorted out in handcuffs. No shouting, no anger, just the look of someone realizing the uniform he trusted had betrayed him. A reporter pushes a microphone toward him. "What do you feel right now?" He looks long at the flag in his hands. Then he says, with a voice that breaks but doesn't fall, "My son died from drugs like these, and the people who were supposed to help, they helped the wrong side." That clip goes viral, not because it's dramatic, but because it's real. In Boston, the governor addresses the state. His voice doesn't boom. It's steady, controlled, like someone holding the weight of a cracked foundation. If the badge is used to harm the people, then the shield is broken. And when the shield is broken, we repair it. We do not look away. In response, the Integrity Review Task Force is formed, an independent bureau with full authority to audit police departments, government offices, financial transfers, and procurement chains tied to public agencies. The mission is clear: restore trust where trust was taken, rebuild institutions where institutions were used, protect communities where communities were deceived. It won't be fast, it won't be simple, but it has begun. Cook's arrest had once seemed like a single scandal. Now it was understood for what it truly was, a warning of how close darkness had come. And from this point forward, Massachusetts would not look away. The shield would stand again, clean, unbroken, and watched by those who refused to be silent. Because what unfolded here was never just about cocaine, cash, or seized weapons. It was about trust. The trust between the people and the institutions sworn to defend them. And that trust had been broken from the inside. The threat wasn't only outside our borders. It wore our uniforms. It operated from our offices. It shook our hands. But the same state that had been infiltrated also fought back. Not with denial, not with silence, but with relentless exposure and accountability. And now the question left in the air is the one that matters. What do we do next? Because corruption doesn't die in a single raid. Cartels don't vanish in one operation. Trust doesn't rebuild itself overnight. This story isn't just about Massachusetts. It's about every city, every county, every department across the country that believes it's immune. Until it isn't. So I ask you, not as viewers, but as people who live under the same flag, do you believe this fight should continue? If this changed how you see quiet crimes hiding in plain sight, share this. Comment "Shield" if you believe we must keep fighting for transparency. Subscribe for more deep dive breakdowns that follow evidence, not echo chambers. Because Massachusetts was only the beginning. The next state won't fall this quietly.